Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending our presentation today. We are going to be covering a lot of different topics. It's a lot of information to take in, so I know it's a lot, but we'll be around at the end, and we're always here at the office if you have any questions following. Everything that is presented today is in the handout that you received, so feel free to look at that after if you're confused on anything. And it's also going to be recorded, so at the end you can, after all 3 orientation sessions, it'll be posted on our website as well. Thank you for coming. My name is Katie Kosis. I'm the Director of Financial Aid here at Niagara University. Also presenting today is going to be Marty Howell. She's our Director of Student Accounts. And Susan Barber, she is our Loan Coordinator here at Niagara. Also, in the room we have Martha, who's, I don't know where she went, but Martha, she's also in our office. She's in the back, hiding behind a pillar. She can help you at the end. And then Rob Healy is also in the room. He's our Veterans Coordinator. So if anybody has any Veterans-related questions, they can definitely feel free to ask him at the end. All right, a few things to go over before I hand it over to Marty. We are located in the Butler Building. We are a one-stop shop, which means that the Student Accounts Office, the Financial Aid Office, and the Records Office are all pretty much one office, and we're located in the same building. So any student or parent that has a question can get everything answered in one spot. During the school year, we are open from 8:30 to 5:30. During the summer, we do have summer hours, so it's 8:30 to 4:30 from Monday through Thursday, and then only till noon on Fridays, which we all really enjoy here during the summer. But tomorrow we will be open, no, it's only Monday, never mind. That was last week, so scratch that. We'll be until 4:30 tomorrow. A few things, we are one office, but we do have separate emails and separate phone numbers, so if you have any questions about anything directly towards financial aid or student accounts, our numbers are listed there. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Marty. She's going to talk about the different billing and payment plans. I'm going to talk about financial aid after that, and then Sue's going to wrap it up with our loan options.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's wonderful to see all of you. I appreciate you taking the time to come to our presentation today. One thing that you will probably be hearing a lot, and that's FERPA. Even if you call and ask how much your son or daughter owes, I can't tell you unless the FERPA has been filled out, even if you're paying the bill. So it is really important that your son or daughter fill out the FERPA form, give us permission to speak to you so that we can take care of any of your needs. Also, from now on, all communications will be through the MyNU email account. So if there's something a student needs to do, something that's missing, something that we just want to contact them, we will be contacting them through the MyNU email account from now on. So it's really important that if there's something that's really directed towards you, that the student forward it on to you so that you have access to that. And I would ask them every couple weeks, have you checked? Are there anything that, that should be sent to me? Have you been checking your email? And if they can sync it up to their phone or their other email that they do check all the time, that probably will make life a lot easier for them. The basic charges are tuition fees, room and board. And this year, our block tuition, that's anything between 12 and 18 credit hours, is $14,250. Or we have the level tuition, which locks in 8 consecutive semesters at $14,550. That's an additional $300 each semester, but we guarantee that you will not lose money. So if you decide you want to do that and you haven't filled that out yet, then we have those over on the table and you can pick that up. I would really appreciate it, though, if you choose to do that, that you send it in as soon as possible so that when I send out the bill, that you have the correct tuition amount on there. As you can see, the student services fee covers a myriad of different things. And every student who is a full-time student will receive that fee every semester. There is a one-time only full-time registration fee of $200. That's only going to be that first semester, so you won't see that again. And the double room and board rate, that's room and meals, is $61.50 per semester. As I told you, there was the block tuition. Anything over block is called overload. So that's anything above 18 credit hours. Or if a student were below 12, they would get the regular rate of $9.50 per credit hour. Also, there are certain labs that have an additional fee. And there's the nursing skills fee is also $125 per semester. The single room charges, depending on how it's laid out, are per semester. The parking decals are per year. And there are other things such as the parking fines, library fines, health service charges, residence hall restoration fee, and judicial fines that are sent to my office by a different department. They're uploaded automatically and they're on your bill. But I don't have any information about what that would be about. So on the back of every bill are the phone numbers for the different departments. And you would either need to contact them or the student needs to contact them to find out what those fees are about and how to appeal them if they choose to. Let me say a word about the health service charges. If we have a health service charge on your bill, it's because the student went to health services and got a prescription. We order those in bulk, and we only charge you exactly what we pay for it. We don't make a dime on it. But it's at a great savings to you rather than having the student go to a drugstore, especially if they don't have transportation. So the other thing is that if you want to turn it in on your Flex account, you contact Health Services, they'll send you the information, and they will go ahead and you can turn it in that way. This is a level tuition plan contract, and as I said, it locks in your tuition for 8 consecutive semesters. That's not fees, and it's not room and board. It's only for tuition. But again, we guarantee you will not lose money on that. So normally, people who signed up for it last semester are paying $50 less this semester. So it's all in how you want to look at it. The different board plans, everyone is put on the unlimited to begin with. That's you can go over into Clay Dining Hall anytime you want to and eat. As long as they're open, you can eat as many times as you want. And then there's a $100 declining balance out here in Gallagher. So you would choose what you want to eat. They swipe your card just like a debit card. It subtracts from your balance, and you go eat. So if your son or daughter doesn't like to get up in the morning, doesn't eat breakfast, whatever, then they may want to choose one of the other meal plans that has a higher amount over here in Gallagher. But they have the first 2 weeks to change their mind, and they can change their mind even next semester. So this is the bill. This would be the first one. Let me point out a couple of things to you, please. There is only one billing address. So if it's a divorce situation or people live at different addresses and 2 people need it, then somebody, whoever gets the bill, needs to send it on to the other person. The only other way is if the student comes in every month and they ask me to send another bill. I can do that. I would have to hand address it because there is only one billing address. So the description is right here, charges and credits and the balance. And down here at the bottom is pending financial aid. That's aid that may not be able to be dispersed to the account until a certain point. So in other words, like TAP, that can't be dispersed until after add and drop is over. And loans can't be dispersed, direct loans can't be dispersed until the end of September. So if you see things later on in the semester that are still pending, there's a problem there. There are 2 things you will never see on a bill. One is outside private scholarships, and that's because there are so many different ways that you would get that scholarship dispersed. Some of them require your first semester grades, some first schedule, some the first bill. So I never know what it would take to get that dispersed, but you can put that notification on the back of the bill. I'll show you in a minute. And I would take that into account. It's just never going to show up as a deferment unless I specifically bill the scholarship for you. The other thing would be work study. If someone has a work study award and they want to put some of their work study towards their account, they're certainly welcome to do that. I don't normally put up more than $1,000 in the first semester because I don't want a student to have that added pressure. It takes a while for them to figure out their schedules and how to do all the work. You have to work the number of hours and get paid. I believe it's $8.75 an hour now. So they have to actually earn that amount. So if I see towards the middle of the semester that they're really doing the number of hours, I can increase that. But on the other hand, if they sign up for $1,000 and they only work 2 or 3 hours a week, it's going to take a whole long time for them to make $1,000. So then in that case, I would transfer the money back to the tuition account. So it's like a loan, and then they work it off. And it is a federal requirement that I have an original signature on the work-study deferment form in order to be able to defer any of that work-study. So if they have work-study, come on over and have them fill that out once you have made a decision about what you want them to put on the account. And you will see in the top corner here, that's where you would put anything about additional scholarships that I'm not aware of. You'd write it at the top, send in the top of the bill, and I can subtract that. And at the bottom, you'll see that there's the phone numbers for the different departments that you may need to contact about charges on your bill. We do have a payment plan. It costs $25 a semester. You do have to sign up every semester. I actually have 2. One has 5 payments, but if I have 5 payments by federal regulation, then I have to do a whole bunch of paperwork because they designate me as a lender. So what I do is you have 1 down payment and 4 monthly payments. So that makes up your 5. And Plan B has just 4 monthly payments. Your down payment, if you chose Plan A, is due August 10th. And if you choose Plan B, your first payment is not due until September the 10th. This is a payment plan bill, and the only thing that's different is at the bottom, I've charged you the payment plan $25 fee, and then whichever one you've signed up for, either Plan A or Plan B, I would put the amount that's due that particular month. If you sign up for the payment plan, you will get a bill every month telling you what's due. But I can also tell you that in October, many students go out and they have to update their profile, and they're so excited about putting in their post office box as their address that all the bills go there. So if you're on the payment plan and you don't get a bill in October, you might want to ask your son or daughter, did you change your address? And as I said, they're the only ones that can tell us where to send stuff or who to talk to. So it's really important to keep up with that. This is our website, and you would go into, if you want to make a payment without using the student's login, you can do that right here on Make a Payment, and you just need the first name, last name, date of birth, and the student number in order to go in and make a payment there. You would not know how much to make, however, because of FERPA regulations. I'm not allowed to put that out there, so you would have to look on the bill or give us a call. And we absorb all of the charges for credit cards, so there is no charge for you making a payment online. The September bill, I wanted to point out that charges are always listed on the very first day of the semester, no matter when they're incurred. So when you see a bill and you had it all paid and then all of a sudden there's a new bill, look up at the bottom of the semester, and it will, where I have it in blue there, that's the parking decal. It was charged in September. So even if you'd paid it, now you're getting a bill for $80. So, and I realize that it's weird, but that's how all charges are always listed on the first day of the semester. And in yellow at the bottom, TAP is still a pending, even though other types of aid have gone up and been credited to the account, and also the Perkins Loan. It's really important that if anything is still at the bottom after September, or if I send you a bill and there's things missing and all of a sudden your amount went up, It's because there's still paperwork that has to be done. So you can follow up on that. TAP puts the first New York State school on your TAP application. So the money may be going to a different school other than Niagara. So make sure that you check to make sure Niagara's school code is on there. And SALT, we have partnered with a new company called SALT. I have been working with American Student Assistance for probably the last 15 years, and I was always impressed with the way that their students knew about finances, and it's a financial literacy program. And we are just so excited with the opportunity for all of your students. Anyone that's an alum or a student of Niagara can go out there, and they have job opportunities, internships, scholarships, and financial literacy. So check it out and have your students sign up. You will also get, in a few days after the student is registered, you'll be getting, or the student at their MyNU email account will be getting an email concerning the Perkins Loan if they've been awarded one. They need to follow the instructions very carefully to make sure that they can create an account and get that loan dispersed to their account. We have 3 different programs that can be linked to your ID card. One is the bookstore funds. You would save 5% on books. It does stay in the bookstore and it rolls over from semester to semester. Gallagher Gold funds, you save the New York State tax on that, but at the end of the academic year, those monies, anything that's left, disappear because that's New York State tax law. Campus funds, that can be rolled over from semester to semester. It can be used anywhere on campus that accepts ID cards and some off-campus locations as well. If you have a credit balance, say from the Parent Plus loan or an alternative loan, you can move money onto that ID card anytime you want to. And there are some penalties. If we don't receive a payment by the due date, then there would be a 2% late charge on the amount that's due. But I do understand that life happens when you send your student off to school. So if you need a few days, if something's going on that's different, give me a call so we can discuss it and we can maybe think of some different options for you, or I may be able to bypass you for that penalty. And also, students would not be allowed to register until the payment, the account is paid in full, or until, if you are on the payment plan, until there's just one more payment left. I do start sending out hold emails at the end of September and February, which gives students 4 to 6 weeks for them to figure out what's needed and what they need to do in order to clear those holds. So please make sure that they're checking those MyNU email accounts, especially at that time, to see what they need to do, because if they're missing something, they won't be able to register until that is taken care of. Also, there will be no transcripts or official documents would be released until the account is paid in full. So now I'm going to turn this over to Katie, and she's going to go over some financial aid things for you. Thank you.
You also received this in your brochure. Marty just talked about the SALT program. I do highly recommend having your students sign up for this. They'll be getting more information as they enter the fall term. However, it's a great resource for them from when they start through after when they graduate. After they graduate, they'll have resources to help. They can call SALT. It doesn't really stand for anything. It just means money. Back in the old day, it used to be, how they would, that was their currency. So they will actually help them choose their loan, deferment options, repayment options. So it's a really great resource, and I highly suggest that everyone signs up for that. And you guys can go on the website, it's saltmoney.org. You can actually look around as well. And then the other side is the FSA ID. Sue will talk about this in a little bit as well. However, most of you probably have a PIN number, and your student does as well. That no longer is valid. So as of 2 months ago, the government decided to change it from a FAFSA PIN number to a FSA user ID. So when you go and make any changes on the FAFSA, when your student is signing the master promissory notes and whatnot, or when you're applying next year for the FAFSA, you're going to have to switch over to the user ID, and there's step-by-step instructions on here. And then also, Probably a couple weeks ago, your student, or actually you guys should have received to the parents of a checklist from us. It would have had a cover letter on the yellow checklist. If you did not receive this, we do have extra copies over by Martha. You can grab one at the end. But make sure that you do review this with your student and that they are doing all the things so that they can be prepared when they come here in the last week of August. There's just a level tuition plan contract. If you don't have a copy, we have copies over here. Just make sure that everything is completed by the end of August. All right, so moving on with our presentation. Everyone hopefully should have received a financial aid award letter from the university. If you have not received an award letter and you filed a FAFSA form, that would be the only way to receive an award letter is to actually file a FAFSA form if you're a U.S. citizen. Then your student should have received an award letter. Would look something similar to this. The first one would have been paper, revisions would have been paper. I just want to let you know that as starting tomorrow when they register, and actually probably I sent a few out today, they will actually be getting all emails. So will not be receiving any more paper award letters. Everything will now be going directly to the student to their MyNU email. So make sure they start checking that right away. Okay, missing information request form. So along with the award letter, if the student was selected for verification or if we were asking for anything additional, we would have sent in a missing information form that would have asked for all the additional documents. The most common thing is verification, the worksheet. About 30% of our students are selected for verification. I was chosen every single year that I was here. So it's just something that unfortunately we have to do to maintain federal regulations. So a couple other things that we might ask for, W-2 forms for both the student and the parent if they worked, and then also the tax return transcript. So this is not actually the 1040, so if you sent us those, we cannot accept those. It has to be the tax transcript, and you can get those from the IRS. Another option would have been to use the data retrieval tool on the FAFSA. So if you've already done that, great. But if we're still asking for it, either need to do the data retrieval or do the IRS transcript request process. One note is that you used to be able to kind of like download the tax transcripts from the IRS and just print them off like through a PDF. They disabled that because there were some hacking issues, unfortunately. So the only way to do it now is either you can call them or just request it online, but you actually will get it in the mail within about 7 to 10 days. And we'll just take a copy of that once you get that. Another thing Marty did mention was the TAP and New York State HESC. If you're a New York State resident and your student is attending a New York State school, which Niagara would be, of course, then and as long as your adjusted or your net taxable income, New York State income is less than $80,000, then you would potentially be eligible for the TAP program. So it's a grant program through New York State, ranges between like $500 and $51.65 for the year. As Marty mentioned, you need to be careful with this because the school code needs to be Niagara's. Our school code is 0560. Make sure that this is on the TAP application because TAP does take only the first school that's listed on the FAFSA. So if when you were back in February, when you were filling out the FAFSA and you listed UB as number 1, the TAP money is going to UB. So make sure that that is changed. We can do it from our office if you need assistance with that, or you can call them or do it online as well. Some other financial concerns I do like to go over, book money. Book money, unfortunately, is not typically part of the financial aid package. It is built into the budget, so you can take out a loan to cover that, a Parent Plus loan or a private loan like Sue will go over in a little bit, but it's not typically built into the budget. So make sure that when your student is arriving that you have them supplied with some additional book money. We do have a couple of different options. One is an emergency loan. If a student needs to, get one extra book or they need to get home really quickly, they can borrow a loan, a small loan of $200. They have 45 days to pay that back. So that's one option we have. Or if a student is going to be receiving a refund from a loan you might be taking out or their loans, then they can actually get an advance on that of up to $500 once school starts. We can transfer that money over directly onto the bookstore account for them. Unfortunately, students typically don't get the refunds until mid-October just due to federal regulations for us. So those are some options that students have if they have an emergency on campus. Satisfactory academic progress. This is something that's very important here at any university really, but at Niagara, in order to maintain their financial aid, they do need to maintain satisfactory academic progress, or SAP as we call it. So I like to say that as long as a student is maintaining a 2.0 every semester, then they would be able to maintain their financial aid and they will be okay. If they do go below that, there's a probation period and a warning period, but make sure that they're maintaining that 2.0. Situation changes. we know things happen, whether it's a layoff of work, you're getting less income, a divorce situation. There's a lot of things that do happen. So if something has happened since you filled out the FAFSA or it continues to happen in the future, make sure that you contact our office and we'll give you a special circumstance form to fill out, see if we can do anything to be able to adjust the package if need be. Unfortunately, you cannot go back and update the FAFSA because it is dependent upon the prior year, which is already completed. But we do take into consideration special circumstances, so don't hesitate to call our office. The renewal FAFSA, it is a yearly process. So although you might think, oh good, I'm done, I did it once. Nope, you gotta do it again next year and the year after that if you want to receive any type of financial aid besides the merit scholarship. If all you want is the merit scholarship that your student was awarded, you don't have to fill out the FAFSA. But anything additional, loans, Pell Grants, TAP, you need to do the FAFSA. Starting January 1st of each year does come out. I know for freshmen we stated we wanted to buy it by about February 15th so that we could get a package out. As returning students, I do ask that you actually hold off on that, and the deadlines aren't really until April 15th, May 1st for returning students because we do want accurate data. So we want the information to be correct from the taxes, the tax returns, the data retrieval. So make sure you hold off a little bit on that. They will be getting email reminders as it gets closer to that about completing the additional forms. And future communications kind of leading into that, as Marty stated, starting tomorrow, all communications from our office will go directly to the student and directly to their MyNU email. So if they need to hook it up to their normal email, their normal Hotmail account or Yahoo, not a problem, but they need to be checking it often, and if they need to forward it to you, great. But just to know that it will be going to them.
When you filled out the FAFSA, that was actually the application for the government's federal loans. And the FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And filling that FAFSA out allows us to offer the students loans in their financial aid package. There are two types, the subsidized loan and the unsubsidized loan, affectionately referred to as sub and unsub. The subsidized loan is need-based, and that means the government's going to pay the interest on that loan while the student is in school. And the unsubsidized loan means that it's the student's responsibility to pay the interest while they're in school. And if the student chooses not to pay the interest, then the government will capitalize that interest at the end of the grace period and then add it into the principal. And ultimately, you start paying interest on interest. So if you can afford to pay the interest on the loans while they're in school, then I would recommend doing so. Repayment begins 6 months after the student is done with school. And then that's actually their grace period. And if for some reason they drop below 6 credit hours or take a semester off, that grace period will actually start. They're only allowed 1 grace period, too. Now, as Katie and Marty both mentioned, we have a new program called SALT. And it's an opportunity for Niagara University to give our students the tools for them to become financially literate during college and beyond to help them with their lives. And also the parents can also enroll in this, as well as us, the employees. And it offers scholarship opportunities, job opportunities, scholarship searches. And speaking of scholarships, there is one scholarship I'd like to mention for everybody from the Western New York area. It becomes available every year on January 1st. It's called the Community Foundation of Greater Buffalo. For those of you that are not familiar with it, the website is cfgb.org. Again, that's cfgb.org, Community Foundation of Greater Buffalo. They give out over $2 million a year. The highest individual scholarship is $6,000 for 1 year, and you have to apply every year. Again, it's available January 1st, and it's due no later than March 1st. And they are very, very strict with their deadlines, no exceptions. Now, the limits are based on this level that the student is in school. So, for example, freshmen receive $3,500 plus $2,000 regardless of where they go to school in the country or how much the tuition costs. The only difference is the $3,500 may be either subsidized or unsubsidized, depending on the student's financial need. Now, we also have something called a PLUS loan. It is another federal-based loan that I'll be getting into in detail in a little while. And if a parent applies for the Parent Plus loan for a student and they are denied, then you will see in the lower right-hand corner, the student receives an additional loan from the government. For freshmen and sophomore, it's $4,000. For juniors and seniors, it's an additional $5,000. So again, that would be if a parent applies for a PLUS loan and they're denied. And I will again get into more detail shortly. Now, requirements for direct loans, if a student decides to accept any subsidized or unsubsidized loan from the government, they have some homework to do. They have to do entrance counseling and a master promissory note. And if you open up the purple handout, And if you take a look on page 2, there are the instructions to do the entrance counseling and the master promissory note. The entrance counseling is an online tutorial, and they just want to make sure that the student knows that they are borrowing loans and they have to pay them back. And it takes about 30 minutes of uninterrupted time, and we recommend that the parents let the students do this. It is their responsibility. The counseling session is eye-opening. It talks about the consequences of default. So sometimes the parents want to help and they want to do it for them, but we do not recommend it. If you want to sit with them while they're doing it, that's fine, but again, let them do it. The good news is once they do it, it's good for 10 years. They should not have to do it again. In conjunction with the entrance counseling is the master promissory note. That is actually the legal document that gives the government the authorization to send the loan money to the school. So for freshmen, they start school at the end of August. The loan should start arriving after October 1st. And the complaint I hear most often from the students, my loan isn't here. Why isn't it here? Well, it's because they usually haven't done one of these or both of them. And then I will become their very best friend, sending out weekly emails, if they haven't received one from me already, advising them that they need to do their entrance counseling and master promissory note before school starts. So again, they're both done on the same website, studentloans.gov, and as Katie mentioned, the PIN number has now been changed with an FSA ID number, and they will need to update to that in order for them to do the entrance counseling and the master prom note. So the loans, again, will not be credited to their account unless both of these things are done. Sometimes they think they're finished, but they really have to submit it and get that confirmation. They do it tonight, I'll know about it tomorrow morning, and it'll update their account. All right, this is the website for the students to do their master prom note and entrance counseling. And if you see in the upper right-hand corner the login box, they just recently updated it with the FSA ID information. So it used to be just a little PIN number that was required. So if you have a PIN, it should be an easy transition. I did it myself. It took me 5 minutes. It's not complicated. They just want to take you to the next level of security to avoid hacking down the road that the IRS recently experienced, and as well as the U.S. federal government. So they want you to choose some security questions, create 2 of your own, and then there's a 5th one where you have to create a special date of significance for you. So again, this is the website. This is also the website that the parent will do the PLUS loan application from. Speaking of PLUS loans, we're going to talk about parent PLUS loans and private alternative loans. The question I get most often from parents when they come into my office is, well, this is how much it's going to cost me, and then this is how much you're giving me, but it's not enough. There's a gap. I need help trying to figure out how to cover it. And there are 2 very popular ways to do that. One is the Parent PLUS loan that we just talked about, mentioned, and the other one is the private alternative loan. The Parent PLUS loan is taken out by a parent for the student. It stands for Parent Loan for Undergraduate Students. Only dependent undergraduate students. If a student is independent for several reasons, they are not allowed to take out a PLUS loan. Only a parent can take it out for a dependent undergraduate student. And it is actually easier to get than a standard loan. It's based on credit history only. They don't look at income and they don't look at employment. There is built-in life and disability insurance on this, which is nice. So in the event something happens to the parent or the student, then the loan can be forgiven. There are some situations where you may not be approved, and we list here on 2 screens the adverse credit history reasons why you may be denied. I won't go into detail with all of them, but typically if you're less than 90 days past due and you have no charge-offs or bankruptcies, your chances are pretty good of getting approved for this. If you found yourself in a situation where your credit was very good and then something happened, let's say you're disputing a charge or there's a discrepancy, and you are denied a PLUS loan, then I would suggest appealing it, because chances are you can usually have that denial turned around into an approval, and then you'd be able to help your son or daughter out. Now, if a parent is denied the PLUS loan, then you will get an additional unsubsidized loan from the government, as I'd mentioned earlier, $4,000 for a freshman or a sophomore, $5,000 for a junior or senior, but the PLUS loan has to be applied for every year. Now, if we have a married couple, the parents, let's say one has very good credit and one has negative credit or bad credit, occasionally this happens, the parent with the adverse credit history can actually apply for the PLUS loan and get denied to get the additional $4,000 for their son or daughter, and then the parent with the good credit history could actually co-sign a private loan for your son or daughter and get them the private loan too. So The parent who applies for the PLUS loan and gets denied is actually helping by reducing the amount of the private loan by the $4,000. Everybody with me on this? Okay, good. So again, it doesn't happen often, but occasionally we do find a situation where one is good and one is bad. Now, features of the PLUS loan, it is a fixed interest rate of 6.84%. That became effective on July 1st, just a few weeks ago. And the amount of the PLUS loan is determined by the cost of attendance. When you are filling out the application, there are two options. One is a specific amount, and the other one is the maximum is allowed by the school. And if you choose the specific amount, you need to take into consideration that the government does charge an origination fee for the PLUS loan. It's 4.272%. So if you want exactly enough to cover the bill, you need to take that fee into consideration. Otherwise, you're going to be short. So for example, on a $10,000 PLUS loan, they're going to charge or deduct $427.20 from the loan. So you'll receive about 95% of the amount. And there's also another option. Maximum is determined by the school, and then we can actually calculate the maximum amount for you and just plug that into their financial aid package. And what also is nice with the PLUS loan is the government gives me and another lady in my office the ability to make changes to the loan, either to increase it or decrease it with the parent's authorization. You don't have to go through the loan application all over again. So let's say you need $10,000, you apply for exactly what you need, and then your son or daughter decides in the spring semester to do a study abroad, and they're usually a little bit more expensive than a traditional semester, then you can actually give me the authorization via email or a letter from you asking me to increase the loan to cover the additional expenses, and you don't have to go through that the application process all over again. So repayment, a loan can be deferred until they're done with school, and then you have a 6-month grace period and then payments begin, or you can begin paying it while they're still in school. If you are in a position to be able to at least pay the interest on the loan, I would recommend doing so, just like the students' loans, because you can ultimately start reducing the balance on it while they're in school. There are no penalties for prepayment, just like you do on a mortgage. You can pay additional interest or principal, and then that will cut down the amount. And let's see, again, no employment's required. They just look at your credit history, and there is no income requirement. So if a parent's lost their job, they can still get approved for this loan, and then defer it until they're done with school, and then hopefully your son or daughter can pay it back for you. Okay, nobody thinks I'm serious? I am. How to apply for a PLUS loan? The same website as the students, studentloan.gov. Again, you need your FSA ID, and you also have to do a promissory note for the PLUS loan as well. Now, the other option is a private credit-based alternative loan. This is very, very similar to a car loan, a mortgage, a private loan. We have a lender list, our preferred lender list. It's currently in alphabetical order, not in order of preference or anything like that. And you can choose whoever you like. This is a private loan. It's in the student's name. It's based on income, credit, and employment. I don't know of any high school senior or college freshman that has at least 2 years of income, credit, and employment to get the loan by themselves. So somebody would have to co-sign for them. And typically that's when a parent steps in. Now this loan can also be deferred until they're done with school. There's a 6-month grace period, then payments begin, but it's in the student's name. So this is a good way for them to begin establishing a credit history. And then at some point down the road, if you look at the white insert that's inside the purple handout, it does give you a detailed listing of our preferred lenders. Most of them will offer you what's called a cosigner release option. So after the student has made the minimum number of required on-time payments when they're done with school, they can have the loan hopefully put into their name and do the cosigner release option and release the cosigner from their liability. So if you look at the website at the bottom of this screen, ElmSelectcom, we list all of our preferred lenders with ElmSelect. They're updated on a daily basis. You can compare up to 3 of them side by side. Most of them offer fixed and variable rate options, so you have quite a few to choose from if you decide to go the private alternative loan route. But this one, however, is based on the parent's income and credit history in most cases, but it is in the student's name. Some parents will actually do the combination of both, as I mentioned earlier. They'll have the parent with the adverse credit history do the PLUS loan to get the denial, and then they'll have the parent with the good credit history co-sign the private loan for their son or daughter to get the loan to cover the difference. Or you might decide to do a payment plan for part of it, and maybe a loan, one of the loans for the rest of it. So you're not locked into one or the other. Actually, you can do a combination of all three if you want to, a payment plan and both loans, depending on the circumstances. Now, again, if you go to the ElmSelectcom website, you look at the bottom of the screen, you can compare up to three of them side by side. Here we have Wells Fargo and PNC Bank, both very good institutions, and we offer you an option, in this case, to compare the fixed rate for Wells Fargo to the variable rate for PNC. All of our lenders offer you what's called a disclosure, and if you look at the disclosure on each one on the website, you can look at the worst case scenario, borrowing a $10,000 loan at the highest interest rate. So it's important that you share this with your son or your daughter because it is eye-opening to show them what can happen and how important credit history really is. Now, interest rates, just to recap, federal, direct, sub, and unsub loans are 4.29% starting July 1st, and they're fixed. They will not change, even when they start paying them back. And the Parent Plus loan is also fixed at 6.84%. Now, the private loans can be either variable or fixed, depending on your choice. The best interest rate is going to be for someone who has an excellent credit history with a variable interest rate will get you the lowest rate. But again, it's subject to change because it is variable. Depending on your risk tolerance, you can only decide, you are the only one who can decide what is best for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Katie and for our closing comments, and then we'll be available to answer any questions when we're finished. Thank you.